Ahoy, ahoy, and welcome back to my channel. Or if this is your first time watching, welcome. Today we are going to take a look at the various CD editions of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the 1967 Beatles album that marked the beginning of their studio years. So, just a quick tidbit, I had meant to record a video, comparison video, all the way back in January. The problem is, uh, the when I received my first copy of Sgt. Pepper Deluxe Super Deluxe Edition, and you could actually see that particular copy in the Let It Be comparison video that I have on my channel. What happened was the package, well, it was sealed when I received it, but when I opened it, it didn't have the folio that contained the discs themselves. So long story short, I was able to get my money back, and I found a very reasonably priced used copy. It's not perfect, and it's not perfect. It's got seen some damage there, but overall, it's pretty good. It's great for its price. So basically, I actually made a few, yeah, a significant amount of money for that. So that's all is well that ended well. So without further ado, let me just take the big one out of the way. We're gonna take a look at this later, and I really must apologize if the camera isn't capturing the entire thing. It's just I wish I had a bigger table and higher. I think I can do this higher, but the table isn't big enough. But okay, as with the previous videos that I've made, in the comparison videos, I'd like to begin with the one that's closest to the original release. So this is the mono edition that came with the Beatles in mono box set. And well, we're not gonna dwell on the audio part of it, because there are only three mixes, distinct mixes, that were ever officially released. There's the 1967 stereo and 1967 mono, which became the basis for all the CD editions, and then the 2017 Giles Martin mixes, which was where deluxe and super deluxe editions came from. So this is the mono, and the originally it was manufactured with a laminate over the printed page. So yeah, it's glossy, and you have the gatefold right here and the lyrics at the back, and there's the spine with the reversed text, which I think in some parts of Europe this is actually the norm, instead of the usual, the more common downwards direction text. So I don't know. Anyway, so that's the art elements or design elements. There is that you should have the front cover, the lyrics, and this photo of the band right there, and the gatefold, and then you have the cutouts. This is a miniaturized version of the 12 by 12 ish. I think it's slightly smaller than 12 by 12, of course. And then the specially designed insert or inner sleeve that was designed by the art collective The Fool. So this is actually a continuous piece. I mean, if you could take it out and or disassemble it and spread it, you will notice that this is actually a continuous piece right there. And they've used it to great effect in the Super Deluxe Sgt. Pepper, which we will take a look at later. So of course the CD, almost forgot that the CD is, well, it still has the standard black and yellow Parlophone label. They didn't start using the Apple label until around the Hey Jude and the White Album era. Although later pressings on vinyl, if I remember correctly, has the Apple label. And let me just take a quick look. It's because by this time the Beatles had control of how they want to, sequence their songs on the album, so they didn't have the kind of butchered track listings of the other U.S. albums. So, although the build is different in the U.S., and this is a custom mini LP that I've made for the US version of the Sgt. Pepper, and one of the things you'll notice is the it's constructed from two standard pieces of board, like so, and then the slicks were printed separately and attached there, so there's an overlap. If you have a copy of the Magical Mystery Tour mono mini LP, you should see that it's constructed the same way. So slicks, a separate slick right here, and with Sgt. Pepper, instead of the having two pockets there, this only has one. And I was told that this is supposed to be when you buy Sgt. Pepper, or rather when you bought the original LP, Sgt. Pepper LP in the US, you don't get the cutouts inside the pocket, but rather inserted just in here. So it's I believe it's it comes in a shrink wrap, and then you only get to see it when it's there. And there's also a similar version of the inner sleeve, but it doesn't have the cuts at the corners. All right, so that's for the. Oh yeah, one more thing. The U.S. version has a separate strip at the top that says stereo. The mono version doesn't have it. So we now skip back a few years from 2009 to 1987. This is the Sgt. Pepper on jewel case. When they first standardized the catalog on CD. So there are two versions of this. The first one, or rather I believe it's the standard at in the US. There's or I think that was the first release, or it didn't have the O card. As you can see here, it didn't have the O card until the 1992 edition. I'm not sure, but I'm seeing some copies made in the US that has this O card as well. So anyway, this is a 1992 or later pressing, actually, because it has the Apple logo, which earlier copies of any Beatles album on CD didn't have that, because there was a lawsuit ongoing at the time between Apple, Apple Computer, what we know today is just Apple, and then the Apple Corps, which is the Beatles company. So anyway, so that's the O card right there. So it is a bit trimmed at the top, but at least you could see. One of the first things I looked for to see how much was cut was Stuart Sutcliffe's face there. If you could see his ears, then it's a pretty, it's a good. You're getting a lot of the art. Am I saying that right? In this case, it's trimmed at the bottom too. You can see the floral arrangement, as you can see in here. So design elements. Well, the back is just the track list. I guess it's for retail purposes, when the back of LPs are much more readable compared to this. So they had to make compromises and remove the group shot right there. And then the CD itself, the standalone jewel case edition did have a full booklet. In this edition, it's just it's just a single sheet right there. Yeah, no folds, no, not even a booklet. It's just a single sheet. It has the index for the front cover artwork, so you know who's who. And then let me just put this back. and then the disc is just a clear thing. It doesn't have a substrate like the white album, and then the everything on it is printed in just one color, which is orange. Then the set also comes with the booklet, so you can see here most of the things here are, or the text and photos here are in the also in here, except for one component which we will take a look at later. So it also has, of course, the custom inner sleeve right there, and then introduction from Giles Martin, and liner notes from Mark Lewis. And this is the Beatles at Abbey Road. The book turned out to be the complete Beatles recording sessions. That's the white LP size book that is sort of like it sort of became the industry standard for Beatles sessions, because it does have a lot of details, although some details in it, I believe, were disproved when the Super Deluxe editions came out. There is a bit of a disclaimer on the liner notes in Super Deluxe, which I do recommend reading. It's a very insightful book. So a lot of these are also just a lot of the pictures here do pop up on the later editions, which you will see. There's also this index that matches the key right here, or this is the key rather. This is the, or whatever. I mean, I do not know which one's key, which one's index, but okay. So that's the gatefold course. So that's one design element that you're not missing out. And this is a fairly clear picture of the back photo. For the longest time, when I looked at this photo, it looked wrong, especially Ringo's face. Look at that. It looked wrong, and then I realized that this was because this is actually a mirror reverse photo. I mean, look, Ringo's tassel is on the right here, and when it should be on the left. Same with John. So, and I thought, okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's why it's kind of, it looked a bit off, I mean, look at these other photos there. See, Ringo's tassel on the, and more alternate shots, and yeah, lyrics, of course. That's the other design element that you're not missing out on this. Then more pictures of the band. And this is used in a later edition. So okay, there's another one, and then this part is not in the standard jewel case edition. This is the somewhat closer to the LP sized cutout. So instead of being a square cutouts, it's they distributed it across different panels. And the back is just plain red, except for this little bit of text here. Okay, well that's our look at the 1987 or 1992 edition. We now will move forward to 2009 with the remastered album. And it just to clarify, this and this edition use the same mix. They do have, they were mastered differently, of course, at different times. So okay, so you already got the design elements down pat here. The pictures of the band right there, and you even have the same wording right here. Same as the original. And then this is one of the outtakes, and then the gatefold, and the disc also has the same Parlophone black and yellow label. And this is not part of the packaging. This is actually something that I bought and provided for all digi sleeve albums, because they, there are, you gotta protect them because there are stray bits of glue inside the pockets. So I've had at least one CD that was kind of made unplayable because of those bits of glue. That when I tried to remove them, they gouged the playing surface, and it hasn't been playable since then. So gotta protect your CDs. So that's the booklet, of course. They use a different photo at the back, but I'm not sure if this is the same picture that was used in Anthology. Haven't actually checked. So there's a new introduction from Paul McCartney. This was written in 2008. So this is this would be different from the another. Paul seems to write all the introductions to their albums, by the way. So this is more or less the same text on the 1987 or 1992 edition. I did compare the text, some of the text here, the Mark Lewisohn's notes, and while it is essentially the same, there are parts that were rephrased. I'm not sure if it's just to make sure it fits, but or for readability, but it's not exactly word for word. So these are the notes, the ones that are on the 1992 edition. Yeah, and the insert, instead of the cutouts, instead of full size, they just put it on one page, and also has that printed in England designation like the original. And of course another copy of the the gatefold right there. And the index, this time they put it in one spread, so that's good. You could just go back and forth without having separate panels. Then of course the lyrics, they did the same color scheme for the Anthology 2 booklet. The red, blue, and yellow alternating colors. And then that's it. One of the features of the 2009 remasters is it has the historical notes and the recording notes. So yeah, all of the 2009 albums, remasters, have them. So that's the 2009 edition, and now we skip to 2017. There were multiple editions of the album that were released, featuring the new mix by Giles Martin. So there's the one disc edition that is essentially almost the same design as this. It has the angled pocket right here, but instead of another gatefold here, it's just one thing, or rather just one piece right there, and then you got the disc coming out from this side, and it has a stripe that's more like this, yellow, and then with red stylized text. So this is the 2-disc edition. So it comes in a slipcase, and oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that they didn't use the reverse direction text on the spine on the 2009 edition. They they took that back here. So yeah, this is the slipcase. So they have the they retain the slightly faded version of this picture. Then you got the album and an alternate version of the album with the Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane mixes. The funny thing about Strawberry Fields here is they used the same mix that was used in One Plus, the Blu-ray. And I was thinking about the other. I mean, they could have. Penny Lane is a new mix here, by the way. And they could have used. I was wondering why they used them. And I just realized we don't have. If you have the CD, because all of the everything on the first Blu-ray disc is also on the CD, the one album. And you notice all of the tracks on the second disc didn't have a stereo mix, so these are just or rather, oh wait, it has, if I remember correctly, it has an option to play it in stereo. So you could play it in stereo, but you don't have it in CD. So if you wanted to, I don't know, listen to your favorite audio player, you gotta either go through the trouble of navigating through menus and whatnot. Um, but with this, you actually have the this is the first time, or this and the other editions of the time 2017 are the first time that you could get Strawberry Fields Forever in CD format. That's a lot. Okay, and I have to thank you for bearing with me if you're still watching right now. So, okay, so the content of the slipcase is, you got the two pocket that's very similar to the gatefold format, and then you got a square bound booklet. So this the layout is almost the same as the original release. We got the red background and the correctly proportioned photo this time, although you don't get the lyrics here, it's just a track list. And on one pocket you get the standard Parlophone designed disc, and the insert. These are also provided by me, the sleeves. And yeah, I actually like the way that this was, the colors of this cutouts compared to the 2000 the Beatles in mono one. I don't know. They may have restored it. Restored it from the original negatives, or maybe even rescanned the original artwork, which leaves me to wonder who owns the original artwork now. I don't know. Maybe Paul. Paul retains everything. This is the disc 2, with the same design as the the Parlophone thing. They haven't actually figured out how to make a distinction between the sessions discs, like in the later editions. Like for example, in Revolver, you got the in-house white label on the sessions discs, while the album has the standard Parlophone disc. And then you got on the Let It Be box set, you also get the in-house green, the white and green in-house Apple label. So anyway, this is the book. That's an alternate shot of the band. And one of the coolest things about seeing these alternate the alternate shots is they only altered the original, the one that's going to be used on the album. These are unaltered, so you could still see Gandhi right here, but not here. Oops. Yeah. And then you could also, I forgot who this this guy was. That guy with was that a sailor hat? And then see, it's not there. I understand there were notes in here that says that these people either didn't want to be featured on the final packaging because either they asked for money, or because they just didn't want to be in. They don't want to be in there. So anyway, yeah, booklet. So it's pretty much, there's a new Paul McCartney introduction right there, and the same or very similar color choices as the Anthology 2 book. They have the cyan now instead of red. I think there were also red pages here, but they used this time they used the color rate to mark certain sections. Like this is the intro, and then you got, or rather the we're going to look into this more later as we look into the super deluxe edition. So the cover story has a green layout, so I got this too. And then of course the centerfold, which I think was also restored from the original negatives, because the no, not this, but the earlier edition that I showed you let's take a look at this. Just a quick one. The images look a bit tweaked, like they're bright. And then compare that with this, and you get less contrast, and you some of the details are actually visible. So yeah. Then going back, notes and sessions. This section describes the content of the second disc. So, and then of course the lyrics in all red background, and then there's the reproduction of the Mr. Kite poster that John owned, still owns, I think. I mean, his estate at least. And Sgt. Pepper uniforms, the promotional posters for both the US and the UK, and that's the back. The alternate shot this time, and also correctly proportioned to the art. So yeah, that is the 2-disc edition. We're now going to take a look at the big one. This is the Super Deluxe edition that was released in the same year, 2017. And one of the things you may know, let me just take this off because it's a little bit too heavy to be, it's a little bit hard to maneuver with its weight. But the this is a lenticular design cover, and the thing is, you notice it's not moving, but it's not being captured well by a 2D camera like what I'm using, of course. But if you it gives a sense of depth instead of movement. So when you're viewing it, you're not seeing it for movement. Like, what was that album with Rolling Stones? Something Satanic Majesty something. Forgot that. Satanic Majesty's Request. There you go. And the thing is, if you move it, you'd see different pictures. They change positions. With this, it gives you a sense of depth. Like you can see this layer is a bit forward, then it goes further back, and then this part at the bottom is more forward. So if you just look at it at a fixed position, it really looks great. And it's perfect that they, it's appropriate that they did this particular gimmick on this. So the spine also has a it's too close, but the spine also has a reverse direction. Then the cool thing is, if you when I put this on my shelf, I actually put it in reverse, like this faces outward, because this is the leftmost item. So whenever I see the shelf, this is the thing that's facing outward. So it works as a display piece, and at the same time, this is downwards, so it goes well with everything else in on that shelf. The funny thing is, I have to put the revolver at the far end. Well, I just went with the decision that I'm shelving them according to year of release. So this is the first of the Super Deluxe edition, so it goes to the leftmost, and yeah, it has its benefits. But okay. Anyway, you can tell this is the first Super Deluxe release because I think they haven't figured out how to present the packaging. I mean, yeah, it's an EMI tape master, a copy of or rather a scan of the master tape. And as you can see, there's even a marking for the CCIR, which is a regulatory body that regulates the audio frequencies on radio. Like they're the ones who designate which which station broadcasts at, let's say, 630 kilohertz. Just so they don't bump. They just they don't cross over each other. They have changed their name since the 90s, if I remember correctly. So yeah, so that's a master tape, and how it's built. It's built with matte paper, wrapped with matte paper right here. So this is a clamshell style case. The casing is separate and attached right there. Built separately and then attached rather. And then this is a print. Well, yeah, it's a separate print separately and then attached to the case, and then there's no spine. Could have been cool if they had something like a, the circular thing, which is commonly used for indexing these boxes. But okay, and what you get inside is a LP-sized folio. I mean, if you don't open this, it actually looks like you're holding the an LP. Although, with the original release, like I mentioned earlier, this was made with a plastic laminate that kind of yellows over time, and they actually reproduced this one too well, and the colors look a bit faded. I thought okay. The colors look a bit faded, but it's actually there, and you can tell it's a laminate because some of the plastic is it's not focusing well, but yeah, some of the plastic right there is just starting to delaminate, which is common in creases. Like you have to make creases for the spine. So with this, it's most of or rather all, I guess, modern construction uses UV coating for the entire thing. So yeah, this is UV coated. It won't delaminate. But if this is sorry. So I was thinking of something else. So there are, of course, key identifiers that would, that make this a bit distinct from the original releases. Like for example, with this, it says specifically that it's a mono release, and it also says this is a mono recording. It says a mono recording. The stereo version also says a stereo with a PCS prefix there instead of PMC, and then this is a stereo recording at the back. This, on the other hand, says stereo/mono, still the same catalog number, and then it has another serial number for the the modern one for the box set. So it also says this is a stereo mono recording right here, but I do believe this is a new typeset. It's the text is tack sharp right there, really sharp, which is nice. And I think the original photo may have been a rescanned or restored, because the colors are the picture is sharper. I've only seen the LP version of Sgt. Pepper a few times in person. I mean, I don't collect vinyl, obviously, so but yeah, this picture is actually a bit sharper than some of the older releases. Okay, so when you open this, it's not going to be the gatefold, of course, although they were able to reproduce that nice ridge right here. Just one of my, although by the way, if you're wondering where the CDs went, I made a custom, just a plain cardstock pocket for the discs, because it really is difficult, pulling the pockets there. This is not well designed as it should be. So yeah, let's take a look at the discs. They're not, I don't know, they're not as premium as compared with, if you take just a moment here, let me just show another set. You look at the Abbey Road discs here. You got the glossy coating on all the discs, which makes this set feel a bit more premium. And the thing is, with the Sgt. Pepper, the first thing that I noticed is that it's just plain. It doesn't. It's uncoated cardstock, although it feels a bit more durable compared to the later editions. And the pictures here are nice and sharp. And then I guess they were still trying to figure out what to put in, what to use or how. What's the word? They were still figuring out the design language of the series, because the mono edition is not the same. They nowadays with Abbey Road. No, that's not the one. What's that? Sorry, I'm looking at um, the one that has the mono disc. Oh yeah, Revolver. They use the same cover for the stereo and mono versions. It's not that here, so this is the mono. But it, instead of just being the mono album, it also has some extra tracks in there. So which is nice. I mean, this is if they released this as a standalone with the bonus tracks, that would have been really cool. And then of course you have this is the only special. Oh, yeah, this is the only Super Deluxe edition that has both Blu-ray and DVD. And I think this the only other release that I know of them that has this is the Magical Mystery Tour 2012 box set, which is nice. I mean, if I wanted to, I have a 2012 MacBook, and it doesn't have a Blu-ray drive. So if I wanted to watch this without, comfort of my own bed, instead of having to go downstairs and fire up the Blu-ray player, yeah, this saves me some steps. Anyway, let me just put this back. Now we're going to take a look at the rest of the package. I did mention earlier that the design elements, they're present. Everything else is surplus. So this really is, surplus and a whole lot more. So we have the promotional poster, which would have been hung at record store windows at the time. So this is it. And the colors, I think the colors are deliberately made so that, because with promotional posters in record shops, they don't do premium prints. They just worked off I guess second recopied negatives. I don't really know the process back in the day, but it's bottom line, it's not very high quality. The colors are a bit dark and yellowy, and although it makes sense that they reproduce this, because this would have been, this would give you the experience closest to what it would have been at the time. And the cool thing about this poster is that it goes beyond. If you let me just go back to the gatefold, and somewhere in there, the Paul's the junction of Paul's legs right there, and the picture goes further than that. So in this picture, you could see Paul's wristwatch, Ringo's bling right there. Yeah, you get more with this poster. So that's one insert. They never, I mean, with the White Album, they have the poster and the portraits, but that's part of the packaging. This is part of the original packaging, rather. This is again, surplus, but it's nice because they didn't repeat it with Abbey Road or with Let It Be or with Revolver. So I'm hoping that I wish that they did it, at least the promo posters and stuff. I wish they did it with the other albums. And I don't know, maybe if they get around to doing Rubber Soul, maybe, I don't know. So this is I believe it's a full-size reproduction of the Fankus Fair poster, that where the lyrics inspired for the benefit of Mr. Kite. So although if you notice, the text is really sharp, so I would think that this is what they did was they scanned the original and then they traced over it digitally. So they may have made custom fonts for it. And I mean, you could actually see some artifacts, pixelation right there. See, the lines are a bit jagged right there. It would have been a lot of work if they actually if they traced it by hand, so I would assume that they use some kind of program to trace and refine it. But yeah, this is very nice. I mean, I've if you're buying this on eBay and it's an open box, make sure that the seller can provide the pictures of the posters, because I almost bought one actually. When what happened was I was almost going to check out with a reasonably priced Sergeant Pepper, and then I noticed that one of the pictures, this particular poster had pinholes there, which indicates that it was stuck on the wall at some point, and then you know they just removed it when they needed to sell. So yeah, if it's an open copy, make sure you ask for pictures if it's not in the listing already. So this is the cutout, full size this time. It doesn't have printed in USA or in England designation right there, but this is a very decent reproduction right there. Sharp, no blurring. And now we get to the book. So this is a hardcover with the let's call it the board on the spine, flat, or what in omnibus collector circles refers to as the flat spine. So you have the just the logo right there on this is not ink actually. This is spot varnish. So everything is just plain red, and they printed the graphics using a single color spot or a single outline. I think this is a vectorized file. Spot varnish, and then it's not visible, but the spine also has a logo that also goes up. I mean, I didn't notice it until a lot just recently. I mean, I've always thought that this is just a plain red spine, and then at the back more spot varnish, and then the Apple logo right there. And I'm just gonna breeze through this because we've already hit the 40-minute mark, and if you're watching still, thank you. And thanks for bearing with me. I mean, I don't do these things scripted, so anyway, yeah. So design element, there you go. The continuous the continuous art for the inner sleeve, and then I'm not going to go through everything in detail, but just to point out some small details that weren't I mean, a lot of YouTubers probably have a more detailed look at this anyway, so yeah, let's give them I didn't want to be redundant with. Anyway, so contents, they used paper or background color to define segments. They got the intros right here, and then the path to pepper, which is the same as the, or wait, hold on, let me take this out. There we go. Okay, so this section is a write-up by Kevin Howlett that this sort of sets the flow of the succeeding super deluxe edition. You have the intro, after the intro you have the path to, or road to, or route to, depending on which album you're looking at. But it basically discusses the events that led to the creation of the album. So basically it's the prologue, or well, I was going to say prequel, but that doesn't sound right. The prologue to the recording sessions proper. And so that's the yellow segment right there, and you got the this is not a standard part, of course, but it's an essay that, and you could tell it's a different section because it now has more graphic background, but it is also part of the intro that leads to the sessions. and yet another essay right here. So this is actually long. I mean, the other editions didn't have this many lead-ins to the main part of the album, which is the songs and the recording details. And this section, that's the red text right there. Let me just show some of them. They're alternating pages of the notes on the recording and some artifact like handwritten lyrics, and mostly handwritten lyrics. Yeah, it goes all the way to the end. I think there is even a section for Sgt. Pepper in here. There's the end. Sgt. Pepper. I mean, Strawberry Fields. Day in the Life gets 2 pages because and the Run Out Groove even has its own pages. So I think this is the first time officially that this was referred to as the Run Out Groove. I mean, I remember in the U.S. Rarities album, it's referred to as Sgt. Pepper Inner Groove. So one of the things you may have noticed here is that the paper is a bit wavy. That's because the paper is a lot thinner compared to the later super deluxe editions, so it's easily affected by, if you take a look here, post the book, it's slightly wavy because it's been a bit exposed to the, although I try to keep the humidity in this room at around 50%, but it's, for some reason, it's not reverting back to its flatness. So, or maybe the previous owner already exposed this at me, so I don't know. So we're still at the recording details segments. We've also got Penny Lane right there, and then you got more. I guess this is the section with where. Actually, I haven't read this part yet, so I would assume that this is either the impact of Sgt. Pepper or maybe the innovations that they've made. I will really read it later. But yeah, and then another section that discusses the making of the album covers. Of course, you got the LP-sized version of the index right there, and large versions of the pictures that were in the previous editions. And if I remember correctly, if you're looking for the gatefold, it's right here. It's LP-sized glory. So yeah, you still got the complete art, although just in different sections instead of on just one place. So this is also the originally this was the intended inner gatefold, but they chose the the group photo. And then like with all other super deluxe editions, you also have the aftermath, if you will, of the album, like the release, and another section discussing its aftermath across the Atlantic, which I haven't read, but I will definitely read it. The RIAA award. I've been seeing a lot of fake awards, like I just on some Facebook groups that I'm in. I'm seeing some people selling, RIAA award, and a lot of people call them out that they're fake. I mean, I really don't know how you can tell, but maybe it's because I don't collect them. So, okay, so you also have the lyrics, again, a design element, complete, of course, and in properly sized fonts, which is great. And of course, and this is a bit unique because with most books, most books would have just a plain white paper for the end paper. This part is called the end paper. but they printed the last page on it, which is cool. And they even had an oversized version of the picture at the back of the LP. And there is your look at Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band in various CD editions. Do stick around. I'm going to take a look at Revolver. I'm just waiting for one more item, and yeah, I should have it up on my channel. So in the meantime, well, it's been 50 minutes. Crazy. Okay, well, if you like this video, I would like to ask you to give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps. So, in the meantime, well, till the next video, be good.